Return for the climactic clash between the forces of good and evil. Return to a galaxy far, far away. Return of the Jedi. The next chapter in the continuing Star Wars saga.
Ah!
Why?
Ugh. Ugh. Fucking take me now, God. All right, what are we doing?
Hello. Welcome back to the Waffle Press podcast. That was definitely an intro.
Welcome to our retrospective on the new Netflix series, Death Note.
Oh, no. Hello again. Welcome again. Back to our Star Wars retrospective with Matt Garingo. Say hi, Matt.
Hi, everybody. I hope you enjoy the police state you're now living under.
Ooh, it's a little heavy.
It's all good.
Well, is it though? Is it?
No, well, literally like 20 minutes before we start recording, there's a message that North Korea might have launched another missile.
Oh,
stay tuned for that.
Wow, these episodes might be released posthumously.
So yeah, well, one of us.
Yeah, fucking.
I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere.
R.I.P. me.
Yeah, don't worry, I can take over.
Okay, good.
And spread the gospel of how much you hated Alien Covenant.
Oh, fuck you. But
in
you know
the
what?
last moments, you admitted to me the truth.
You know what I would never hate?
What?
Return of the Jedi.
Oh yeah.
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 The original conclusion to the original Star Wars trilogy that has grown to kind of earn a mixed response, I think, in more recent years.
Yeah.
Than it had previously.
I know of people who didn't like it when it was released.
Oh, okay. Well, they can go fuck themselves.
Okay.
There are definitely issues in Return of the Jedi.
Rewatching it, I'm not like a hater of Return of the Jedi, but this time rewatching it, like with a much more attentive eye, it like the flaws were much more noticeable.
They're definitely there. With the flaws that we could definitely talk about, because I definitely have a list of my own. I've come to terms recently that it's probably my favorite of the Star Wars movies, at least to just like watch. It's got like a nice swashbuckling adventure nature. The emotional stuff mostly hits in the finale. Like the third act, I think, is amazing with some kavits. Like this whole movie, I would say that it's like, oh, I had an amazing time with kavits. We could talk about what those issues are, along with what really, really works in the movie, because I think much more.
What the fuck did you just say? Kavits?
Kavits. Is that what it's pronounced?
I thought it was caveats.
Caveats? What the fuck?
One of us is looking fucking insane right now. I've never heard kavits.
Caveats. Fuck, I think you're right.
I was like it hit me. Like I was sitting here like I totally zoned out after that. Sorry. But I was like,
that's fine. Caveats.
I have some kavits as well. All right, finish up your love fest for Return of the Jedi before I start ripping it.
Yeah, no, because there are plenty of things, specifically in regards to the pacing, that I have major issues with. Is it also the shortest of the original three?
It might be.
Yeah, it's still too long.
It doesn't feel it.
No. Yeah, it's still too long. It's the fucking shortest. This is like hilarious to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really love Return of the Jedi, and I would never ignore the glaring issues that it has.
Yeah.
Yeah. But before we go into the movie itself, Matt, you do a great job of taking us on a journey into the production histories of all these retrospective movies. So why don't you go ahead and do that right now?
Okay, like an hour beforehand, I quickly scribbled out all the details I remembered. The production of Empire Strikes Back fucking broke George Lucas. He gives a long interview with Starlog like a year after the release of Empire, in which he's like noticeably exhausted, really bitter about the state of Star Wars and the film business in general. He's like criticizing like the tabloids and the fans and the movie industry and film critics. He's simultaneously criticizing people for not giving him enough credit for Star Wars, and criticizing people for overthinking Star Wars. He was not a happy guy following Empire. Not just because Empire did not make as much money as he wanted it to, and he didn't even get all of the profits of Empire because the budget of Empire doubling forced him to make a deal with 20th Century Fox where they got more of the profits to take care of, the Lucasfilm payroll. And so Lucas kind of lost money on Empire. And in the meantime, he was executive producer on Indiana Jones, which made more money than Empire. Raiders of the Lost Ark made more money, and Lucas barely had to do anything for the film. He had the idea, then he had 2 other people write the script, and then he showed up on set when he wanted to, and Spielberg did all the work.
Yay!
Yeah, hey. And around this time, he's getting really cynical about blockbusters. He's like, people don't want to go to movies to think; they just want to see explosions and special effects and stuff. He's really not doing good post Empire. He'd also adopted a daughter, so that became a big part of his life, and his marriage was kind of teetering. He was forced to fire the CEO of Lucasfilm because the guy kept wanting to expand the business, and Lucas felt that the business was getting too big. And then the guy said Lucas should stop dumping money into Skywalker Ranch, which Lucas's main idea he wanted to make these Star Wars movies as a way to fund other smaller projects. And he was going to use Skywalker Ranch as a gathering place for his friends like Coppola, Spielberg, John Milius, and he would fund their movies with the Star Wars profits at Skywalker Ranch. But Empire was such a disaster of a production, he basically had to be there every day. And he realized that Return of the Jedi was probably going to require the same thing from him, so he wasn't going to be able to produce a bunch of small movies while he was still making Star Wars movies. Gary Kurtz, the producer of the first 2 Star Wars movies, left right before the release of Empire. He has said in interviews that Jedi was supposed to have a much darker ending, in which Han Solo died, Luke leaves because he realizes he has to go out on his own to finish his quest to become a Jedi, and Leia is kind of left alone to deal with conflicting factions of the Rebel Alliance. And this was going to lead into a sequel where we would have met Luke's sister. There's some disputes to this. I don't think, and there's no existing script that hints at these details. The very first script for Jedi, which was written by Lucas all by himself, had stuff like the second Death Star, had the Ewoks, which we'll get into the Ewoks. He wrote Ford. He wrote Han Solo into it, but they still weren't sure if Harrison Ford was going to return. He seemed to come up with, by the end of the script, that Leia was going to be Luke's sister. There was also there's the second Death Star in the script, but there was also this talk of maybe doing 2 Death Stars, which sounds about as lame as you could possibly get. But one thing, let's talk about the Ewoks real quick. A controversial element of Return of the Jedi.
Would you say it's the most controversial?
Probably. Not just among fans. Apparently, a lot of crew members really hated the Ewoks. There's rumors that Ralph McQuarrie, concept artist behind a lot of Star Wars, refused to draw any Ewoks because he hated them so much. But I have found Ralph McQuarrie art that features Ewoks, so I don't know. It seems like bullshit.
I think I know some of the art you're talking about because there are very similar designs used for the Star Wars Holiday Special, like the little Ewok huts in the tree. That's just the Chewbacca house from the Holiday Special.
Yeah.
Repurposed for this. And there's this really, I like this, obviously Ralph McQuarrie is a fucking brilliant artist, but there's one where the Ewoks are kind of facing this monster that's kind of looking over their huts. And it's a really cool fantasy image. Yeah, I had no idea he hated them.
That's just it's one of those rumors. I'm not sure how accurate it is. But one thing about the Ewoks is this is an image. Lucas is really preoccupied with this image of a primitive culture fighting an advanced culture. The original scripts of Star Wars ended with Wookiees, coming together to destroy the Death Star using primitive technology. This got changed, of course, on the way to the film, probably because it was just considered too much. You see, he had the idea of bookending Star Wars with a Wookiee parent opening a book to read to their child, which we see echoes of that in the holiday special. And he seems to have finally gotten his wish with the Ewoks in Jedi. And then, just to jump ahead a little, when we get to the prequels, he manages to shove this primitive culture versus mechanized culture into all three of the Star Wars prequels. It's just an image he really likes. It's all over, like, the Clone Wars cartoon. It's just something he's really into.
Yeah, I think it does make for, like, interesting stakes, and just visually, like, what that brings to the table. It's not just lasers shooting back at lasers.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting idea. It's just, one thing to pick up with Lucas is what ideas he repeats. He's really interested in certain ideas. And the prequels are like all his ideas constantly over and over again.
Because it's like poetry. It rhymes.
It's like poetry, it rhymes.
Yeah.
It's stylistically designed to be that way, but we can diminish the effects of it. Lucas's first choice to direct Jedi was Steven Spielberg. But some people say it was because Lucas had dropped out of the Directors Guild between Empire and Jedi that Spielberg couldn't do it, but it was probably more likely that Spielberg was just busy with E.T. at the time. Spielberg was working on both E.T. and Poltergeist. E.T. and Poltergeist originally started as the same film project.
Oh, whoa. I didn't know that.
Spielberg wanted to do a horror film, and it was going to involve tiny aliens attacking like a suburban house. But as time went on, he decided, I'll do a horror film and an alien film completely separately. And the alien will be a friendly alien, and then I'll take all the horror stuff and make a haunted house movie. Look up the movie Night Skies. Like, there's all this production detail behind, like, this never-made Spielberg film. So after Spielberg couldn't do it, the obvious choice was for George Lucas was up-and-coming director David Lynch.
Woo!
Who had just done The Elephant Man and Eraserhead. And Spielberg, I guess, not Spielberg, Lucas was a big fan. I suggest looking up the interview with David Lynch where he talks about not wanting to do it. And he would go on, Lynch would, of course, go on to direct Dune, which would be a huge disaster. David Cronenberg was also considered at one point. After basically not getting any of the directors he wanted, he got director Richard Marquand, probably best known for directing the thriller Eye of the Needle, which is an okay movie. And it seems like Lucas wanted a director who would listen to him. Because if you watch some of the behind-the-scenes stuff on Jedi, you see a director who's more taking orders than making decisions in Richard Marquand. I don't mean to shit-talk the guy. He died like only 4 years after Jedi. He doesn't come across as like a, brilliant artist, or like, a very character-driven director like Irvin Kershner was on Empire. He just seems kind of like a yes man. In fact, he would get basically booted off the project during post-production, and Lucas would completely take over.
I mean, that's kind of the thing about Jedi. I want to go back to talking about how much I loved all the potential directors, specifically Spielberg, because in recent years he had mentioned that, like, no, he doesn't think he'll ever do a Star Wars. It's not his genre. To which I say, bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, he is so perfectly suited for this franchise. Like, he's never going to do it now, basically, but I just can't imagine his thinking process behind it, other than, like, he wants to do other things. But
if I were to pick a guy to do Jedi, I would have picked Spielberg.
Yeah, Lynch would have been interesting, but I kind of can't help but wonder if maybe a Dune situation would have just happened with Return of the Jedi instead.
Well, I think Dune, the problem with Dune is much more Dino De Laurentiis who produced that. who was kind of a terrible producer. He like almost drove John Milius to suicide trying to direct Conan the Barbarian.
Oh my god.
Just look up any production Dino De Laurentiis has been involved in, and he was very much trying to ape the success of Star Wars because he immediately got the rights to Flash Gordon and made the completely bonkers 80s Flash Gordon. And then he got Dune, which was like the other big sci-fi franchise, and took it away from Alejandro Jodorowsky and then made his shitty version of Dune. And then he also tried to compete with Spielberg with Jaws, where he produced both the remake of King Kong and the movie Orca the Killer Whale. Dino De Laurentiis is kind of a crazy producer. He gave us Manhunter, though.
Fuck yeah.
But, yeah, although that's not really him.
No. I think Near Dark as well, but then by then they had gone bankrupt.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a whole can of worms. But anyways, to Return of the Jedi, you really don't feel that it doesn't have the staying power of the first two movies. It's not really trying anything different. It's a culmination of the trilogy that George Lucas had established by that point, but it's not exactly breaking new ground like the other two were.
What I always like to say about the series is, the first one is like a throwback kind of cross-genre film, swashbuckling action-adventure film, sci-fi fantasy. And then the Empire is more of a character-driven epic sequel. And Return of the Jedi is trying to be both. And I think that leads to a lot of problems with how the story plays out. Because you can't really be both, as hard as you try. I don't know what the right direction was, but they try to do both directions. And that's always a mistake. One thing I would like to point out is that Leia, in Lucas's version of the script, was going to be the commander on the Endor mission. But by the time they got to the shooting script, which was rewritten by Lawrence Kasdan, who originally didn't want to do it, but then Lucas kind of bullied him into coming back, she gets the least to do out of anyone in this film. Yeah, but I'm always kind of disappointed because I even remember as a kid, Leia shows up and like there's the surprise reveal that she's the bounty hunter at Jabba's palace, and that's like a really cool persona for her to take on, and it hints at like all this other shit she could be capable of, and then she's almost immediately thrown into the gold bikini.
Yeah,
and it's really like that's one thing that really hasn't aged well.
No.
At least she gets to kill Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, that's what I like. She kills him with the chains that he traps her in. But even still then, the fact that position had to have like occurred.
And the fact that she never gets back to her cool bounty hunter persona. Like maybe she's learned a lot from Han. Like she's used his skills in the time that he's been gone to like, do all sorts of shit. But no, she just kind of is a side character for the rest of the film. Back to the production a little bit. Lucas allowed a guy named Dale Pollock to interview Lucas during the production of Return of the Jedi. He got unprecedented access to Lucas and Lucasfilm. Pollock would go on to write the book Skywalking about George Lucas, and George Lucas would disown the book, saying that it's full of slander and lies. And Lucas has never offered that close an interviewer ever again. I believe Pollock got some really interesting quotes from Lucas during the production of this. One is that, "I'm the only one who has all the answers." And this is a reference to Lucas. He felt like he was in a position where everyone is turning to him, like whenever there's a little question about how does a spaceship work or what does this alien relate to, they all go to him for the answer like he has it, and he knows he doesn't, but he has to give one. And it kind of became, Star Wars was kind of becoming a trap for him. He mentions how he wished he had sold the franchise to Fox so he wouldn't be burdened with making these movies anymore. The most interesting one is the next trilogy will be someone else's vision. Lucas was not a happy camper on the set of Jedi. Just to wrap things up, Jedi took 66 less shooting days than Empire, which I'm sure pleased Lucas. Richard Marquand turned in a first cut, I believe, and then was kind of muscled off the project, and Lucas basically took over in post-production. He specifically took over the edit and the special effects. At one point, towards the end of production, he threw out 100 special effects shots that didn't meet his satisfaction, which means that 200 model spaceships ended up on the cutting room floor.
Whoa.
He was forced to reuse footage from the first Star Wars. You only see it briefly in the at the end when the Death Star is falling apart. There's all this footage of like soldiers running around hallways. That's all from the first Star Wars. He, as a lot of people know, the story of how the original title was Revenge of the Jedi, this isn't like something where we just kind of hear about it and then at some point it became Return. It was Revenge all the way up until the first trailer being released. But then Lucas decided to change it to Return, which forced like a recall on like hundreds of posters, and all the toys that were being manufactured already had the logo Revenge of the Jedi written on them, and all of those logos had to be replaced, which ended up costing Kenner Toys a lot of money.
And the reason for him changing it, I don't know if it's true, but I feel like you do, was that he did it to save money? Or
I don't believe so.
Okay, or he legitimately believed that Jedis wouldn't use Revenge.
I just think it was just like he's just like, hey, I think Return works. Honestly, the way I read it is he said, I want it to be called Return. The producer said, no, that's a weak title. So then he goes like, all right, we'll call it Revenge. And then because Lucas can never let a grudge go, he's like, fuck it, it's Return. just because that's the type of guy he is. I don't even know if there's like a big thing behind it. Maybe he was enough to be like, a Jedi wouldn't take revenge. But also there is no revenge getting in the film. So, I don't know. And there's no revenge getting, and there is a lot of talk of returning. So, I don't think it was to save money because it cost money in the long run. The other big thing, and this is always kind of gross to talk about, in my opinion, but it's something that has to be talked about. Lucas's marriage fell apart during the production. Some people say he adopted his daughter as a way to try and keep the marriage together, which just adds a whole layer of awkwardness to it. And some people think he allowed Dale Pollock onto the set of Return of the Jedi in an attempt to try and like win his wife back, like being like, hey, remember the good times that we are now revisiting? That did not happen. And she left him for one of the designers of Skywalker Ranch. So Lucas was going to get his, ranch, but he'll be stuck with the memory knowing that one of the guys who helped build it had an affair with his wife. So that happened.
Oh, wow.
And Marcia Lucas was the main editor on all three films. So that it didn't help that he lost her in the midst of all this. George Lucas, I think, he went into Return of the Jedi as a very bitter and angry man, and he left Return of the Jedi as a really bitter and angry man who just wanted to put Star Wars behind him. And he even says in interviews that you can see a lot of this bitterness in Temple of Doom, where it's like super dark and violent and angry and belittling towards women. So all of that is a brief glimpse. And I'm only like touching the surface. There's a lot of stories about Return of the Jedi and kind of the disaster it was for Lucas, at least. I'm only touching on it. And that's, a brief glimpse into what was going on behind this film, and that the movie is more driven by Lucas trying to end Star Wars than to actually make a good Star Wars movie. Not that he abandoned the idea of making a good Star Wars movie, but it wasn't his main goal. That's it. I mean, honestly, he was done. Because Star Wars went from this thing where he was like, I can keep. He wanted it to be like the Bond franchise, where he could keep turning out sequels. He's even said that he would use the funds from those films to fund his other projects and kind of be like a mini Disney. Because I mean, he was making so much money off the movies and the merchandising and everything else. Could have probably afforded to do a lot of what he dreamt, but it became so time consuming. And he noticed that when he didn't have, he's kind of a control freak, and he didn't have constant control over Empire, and Empire's cost ballooned. Even Empire, where he was kind of on set every day for Jedi, he's more dictating to Richard Marquand what to do than Richard Marquand kind of coming up with his own vision. And I think he was just sick of it. I think he was like, I'm done. And he gives all sorts of interviews where he's just really bitter about Star Wars and the filmmaking process. And also, you have to remember, at this time, we're getting towards, this is basically right when, between Empire and Jedi is when New Hollywood officially died. Everyone kind of points to the film Heaven's Gate, directed by Michael Cimino, after the success of The Deer Hunter, was such a huge flop, it took down an entire studio. And that was when all the corporations kind of came in and said, okay, we're going to take more control over these studios, and we're going to make more blockbuster projects instead of, director-driven films, which had been what the 70s were about. And when I say director-driven films, I mean white male director-driven films. I always like to emphasize that, just because some people they really get masturbatory about the 70s, but we got to remember that it was very much a white boys club only. And Lucas was being blamed for the death of New Hollywood, Lucas and Spielberg. And you could argue how much of it is them, but I think Lucas didn't like being associated with that. He went from being one of the biggest voices of New Hollywood to being considered one of the killers of New Hollywood. And people still associate it with him. I know he doesn't like that. So
that's too bad, because just hearing everything from your side of the retrospective, it's clear that he wanted to influence filmmakers' voices and give them a chance to create art that they want to create.
Yeah.
And Star Wars kind of maybe turned around on that.
Mm-hmm.
Out of his control. And,
it got too big for him, man. And he has this pressure of, he really wanted to be able to hand Star Wars off to other people, but he couldn't do it because of his, he has kind of a control freak nature, and everyone is treating him like a god. You have to remember, everyone's going to him like, Lucas, you came up with all this. This is all yours. You're brilliant. And everyone expects him to have an answer for everything. And especially following this trilogy and leading up to the prequels, he does more to kind of enforce that myth that all of it is his. And it just isn't. And deep down, he kind of knows that. But one thing I should say, that despite all this bitterness and kind of cynicism behind the scenes, you don't really see it in the film Return of the Jedi.
It is the least dark of the entire trilogy, I'd say.
Yeah, I would probably agree. It's a really optimistic, kind of happy film, even with all the darker elements. It ends on a really big high note. And he didn't, some people kind of say the Ewoks are, a cynical toy kind of just shoved in this movie, which they kind of are. Lucas has said that he wanted a character that his daughter could play with, which I don't know why you don't just get her a Han Solo action figure, because girls can play with boy toys as much as boys, but whatever. Lucas has always been a little weird on gender politics. But I don't see the cynicism kind of, ruining this movie. The only thing that kind of damages it is the fact that he feels the need to wrap everything up, which is another problem that will affect the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, where everything needs to connect.
Yeah.
And it makes the universe feel smaller.
Yeah, that's the big thing about it. I'm going to save all my thoughts for the discussion, but I kind of was thinking kind of revisiting all that stuff. It's I would cut almost everything. I wouldn't answer a single fucking question with the prequels, but whatever. We'll get to that.
Yeah, and before we officially dive into the movie itself, I know it's a common thing. Again, the Ewoks complaints, and I want to hear your thoughts on them too. Where people say oh, it's sort of a prequel in and of itself to the marketing tactics of the prequels and all the problems that those movies have. because I don't think that
Mhm.
at all. Maybe there might be some correlation, but it's not a foreshadowing or anything for me.
I don't think so either, because the weird thing we'll get into is that Star Wars as like a marketing toy behemoth kind of goes away in the late 80s and doesn't come back until the 90s. So like if Lucas had like this master sinister plan to make tons of Star Wars toys, he didn't go for it. He kind of just let it all fade away after Jedi. I think there's a little cynicism in there. And I'm not a giant fan of the Ewoks, but I think it's more because when I watched the movie, like in between getting out of Jabba's palace and Luke handing himself over to Vader, I think the whole movie really drags. And that's where the most Ewok action is, other than the big battle at the end, which I also have problems with, but we'll get to that. I don't really care. It's not like a big sticking point with me. I don't see the Ewoks as being like the problem. I see other things that maybe resulted in the Ewoks being the problem. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
All right.
I like the Ewoks a lot.
Mhm.
My buddy Sean Fallon over at Audiences Everywhere pitched them to me as the Viet Cong, or teddy bears that fight like the Viet Cong. And
Well,
ever since then,
they're fucking cannibals.
yeah.
I mean, there's a real dark subtext of the Ewoks that's never really touched upon. To the point where even Lucasfilm was kind of downplayed violent Ewoks. I was reading an interview with Paul Dini, because he wrote for the Clone Wars for a little bit. And he had an arc where he wanted there to be like an Ewok like bounty hunter type character, like kind of as a gag. And Lucasfilm said no because Ewoks are cute. We don't want them to be violent. And it's so weird considering that they basically like are killing stormtroopers with like blunt weapons and bows and arrows, fucking stabbing them to death.
And then playing. I mean, it's implied that it's just their helmets. At the end, they're playing as drums, but there's nothing to say that there aren't skulls in there. Like
they ate those bodies. I can guarantee that happened.
Well, they were gonna eat Luke, Han, and
Yeah.
Chewie. So, oh my god, that's hilarious.
It was that's totally what happened. But it's just a weird thing where I don't think too many people are thinking about the implications of some of the Ewok stuff. Although one thing, what the fuck? How can arrows penetrate stormtrooper armor? I'm sorry, rewatching it and watching, because these Ewoks have shitty bows and arrows, and these arrows are like hitting stormtroopers and they're falling over dead. Like that was a little much for me on this rewatch. I never really thought that before, but watching it this time, I was like, oh, what the fuck?
I'll tell you now that the Star Wars spinoff I want to see is someone trapped on an Ewok planet, and it's just like Night of the Living Dead, but Ewoks.
Have fun with that, Diego. All right, maybe we should talk about the movie.
Oh yeah, we should, because I like it, and then have issues because they need to be talked about. So the movie has 3 openings.
Oh yeah, that's. I really hate the first opening with Vader just arriving, because it was very clear. It's very clearly like, hey, we're not going to see any Empire stuff for the next 30 minutes. So we got to throw something in right here. And it's just all exposition, and it's really flat. So yeah, I don't really care for the opening.
It's a little flat. I like the idea of showing it, even though it's just you're right on the money. It's just exposition. It's just like, okay, you need a little something to like hold over the audience for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
But because Empire ends on the downer. It's the downer movie. And the Empire's won at the end of that movie for now, and so that kind of just like lulls you in to like, oh yeah, that's right, they're winning at the start of this movie. Mm-hmm. I do wish it was shot better though, because this is the flattest of the entire trilogy. It's not exactly visually stimulating until the finale.
A harbinger of things to come. Have you ever, Brad Bird has always talked about how he would have opened Return of the Jedi. I've seen him talk about it in a lot of interviews.
Oh, I've never heard that.
He would have opened it with Luke going back to see Yoda. And he goes to Yoda like, you were right, I shouldn't have left, I got my ass kicked. I wasn't ready for that. And then Yoda goes, the fact that you know that now means your training is done. And I kind of like that because it makes a lot more sense than Yoda just going, you're good.
Yeah, I like that more too.
Again, not great. The problem with this movie is it's trying to wrap everything up, you know? And because you can't wrap up every storyline that was at the end of Empire with the one less than 2.5 hour long movie. I mean, this whole Jabba the Hutt thing is really just a way to explain how they get Han back.
Yeah.
But it's honestly it's a great, like, you know, kind of like heist sequence. It kind of has a little bit of a vibe like that, like a prison break. I like a lot of the Jabba the Hutt stuff, even though when you go back and watch it, it's very clear they had no plan.
Yeah.
Even though they're all nodding to each other like they do have a plan.
There's no reason why they couldn't have set up like a basic plan that they establish, like just for the audience even, but instead they just have people show up and they get captured. Someone else shows up and they get captured. Then Luke shows up and he gets captured, and then he almost escapes. He defeats a giant monster. I like the Rancor a lot, but I think
that's a great. No, honestly, the Jabba the Hutt stuff's a ton of fun, and every character gets something to do in it, which we run into a problem later where a lot of characters don't have things to do.
Oh God, yeah.
And Jabba the Hutt's just a really fun character. He's like you know, an embodiment of what I love about Star Wars, is with weird aliens and monsters and shit. And just like, you know, all the weirdos in his palace, like Max Rebo and Sly Snoodles, and the Rancor pit guard who cries when the Rancor dies.
That is so funny.
That is my favorite moment. I think maybe in all of Star Wars, that might be my favorite moment. It's just so good. Like that guy sells that moment. It's so weird.
Like, oh, it's great.
Like just how he like pushes past everyone, and then his buddy has to like come comfort him. Like, oh, it's great.
Yeah, I think people forget how funny Star Wars can be.
I think that's probably because there's absolutely no laughs to be found in the prequels. And then you get to, you know, Force Awakens, which we will probably talk about how maybe there's a little too many jokes in the Force Awakens, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, maybe a couple, but yeah, the Jabba the Hutt stuff I adore. It's just it opens on such a fun, like, swashbuckling attitude. I get really hyped whenever they go over the Rancor pit and, you know, the done.
Yeah,
done,
the tuba.
done. Yeah, they all nod at each other, but again, it's like they
like, why are we nodding at each other? Like, what did we know we were going to end up here?
And I guess that's the implication, but it doesn't come across that way.
It really doesn't. Like, because, you know, like almost from the beginning, R2 is put on the sail barge, but it's fine. I mean, that's a really fun scene. And that's the first scene where we get to see a lot of, you know, lightsaber action. Like, you know, in the previous two films, the lightsaber was used to take down an Imperial Walker, fight a Wampa, and in a duel. And then Obi-Wan used it to, like, cut a guy's arm off at the bar, and then to fight Vader. But this is the first time where it's like, you know, how much damage one guy with a lightsaber can do. And it's pretty fun. You also get, there's a deleted scene right before 3PO and R2 are going up to the castle where we see Luke building his new lightsaber with 3PO and R2 there. And then, like, 3PO's like, "What? I don't understand this plan. Why are we going to Jabba the Hutt?" And then it just leads into that whole, you know, image of them walking up to the giant gate. And also, we got to talk about, you know, when Luke first appears in this film, he chokes out 2 Gamorrean guards with the Force choke. And he's dressed in all black, which is kind of hinting at, oh, maybe he's, you know, waning on whether he's good or bad. And then we basically just see him slaughter a bunch of dudes. But like, the movie doesn't really dig deep into it enough, like as deep as they probably should have with him, like, waning, whether he should go to the light or dark side. That's kind of my problem with, like, Harry Potter too. Harry Potter is never, like, tempted to do anything evil.
Oh, I'm so glad
He's
you
just
brought that up because I swear to God, I have that in my notes. I was gonna mention that too. It's the exact same problem.
Yeah.
They bring it up like, oh, like we kind of want to be tempted by the dark side or evil, but there's no like moment where they're tested until
Yeah.
like, a big moment with the villain, but there's nothing leading up to it.
And there's even like, the like everyone always points out that he wears all black, and then when he finally stops beating the shit out of Vader and steps back, his jacket is kind of open to reveal that it's been white underneath the whole time. So like they obviously knew that was an element, but they never really took advantage of it.
Yeah.
Probably because there was no way to do that in one film. But
Well, at least not
whatever.
At least not one as packed as this.
Yeah. Not one where the first 30 minutes of your movie are entirely devoted to a prison break, in which Boba Fett has no lines and then dies.
Oh my God. Okay. So I love Boba Fett's death a lot because we were talking about how he's like, oh, everyone perceives him like this huge badass. He's got this nice booming voice in the original cut of the movie. The second voice is okay too. I like the actor, but he's built up to be like this huge thing. And Han Solo, everyone kind of perceives him as cool too, but he's really not. He's kind of a dork. Like he can be kind of suave, but like tools will fall on his head and he'll scream. Such a perfect foil, I think, Boba Fett and Han Solo, because Boba Fett comes across just so stoic and like the perfect bounty hunter, and there's Han Solo who can't get the Millennium Falcon to work half the time. And so the fact that he beats him, just like, Boba Fett, where? And then he's in the back. Like, I think that's hilarious.
I don't really have any strong opinions about Boba Fett, other than I think he's like over. Like people kind of build him up a little too much.
I think that's why I like the death a lot more too.
Yeah, I was never one of those kids who was like really into Boba Fett. Like I didn't even like the comics that were just about Boba Fett. But that's just me. I know a lot of people like him, so I don't have any strong opinions on it. It's just a little weird that there was clearly a lot more meant to happen with this character, and then because of just how the production played out, it's like no. And I mean, and also we'll see a similar problem in the prequels, which is where it just gets even weirder.
Well, we got to talk really quick about the lightsaber reveal, because this is the first time you see a green lightsaber. It's no longer blue. But I think that's kind of a big moment that kind of gets brushed over a lot nowadays.
When I was a kid, I probably was like, wow, a lot more. But I don't really get lightsaber colors because they're like there's all this like weird shit in like the expanded universe and the old, like both the old and the new. I think even the new says that like the lightsaber users' emotions actually affect the color of their lightsaber. I'm more like it, so it just confuses me now. But as a kid, yeah, I thought it was cool when I saw a green lightsaber.
I want to talk about the colors really quick because it doesn't make sense. And then, okay, Sith have the red lightsabers, right?
Well, no, Sith do not have the red lightsabers in the original incarnation. A lightsaber is very clearly stated in this film as a Jedi weapon. Darth Vader has a red lightsaber because he's a fallen Jedi, not because he's a Sith. The idea of Sith all having red lightsabers is entirely an expanded universe and prequel idea.
Huh.
The Emperor really shit talks the lightsaber. I mean, he's like, take your Jedi weapon. It's not like, and the Emperor doesn't have a lightsaber in this, thank God, because that would just look idiotic. Is it still canon that it's kyber crystals in the lightsabers?
I want to say yeah, because of Rebels and Clone Wars. And I guess those are officially canon.
Yeah.
Canon's fucking weird.
It's just, well, it's because kyber crystals have been like used for many different things. And they're now like a huge part of the universe ever since being featured in Rogue One.
Yeah, I think as far as the EU is concerned, I think they're for more than just lightsabers, but for the Common Core canon now, like that's just the movies, Rebels and Clone Wars, I think it's just for lightsabers.
Okay.
Or powering the Death Star. I think that's what they were used for in Rogue One, right?
Yeah, well, and I've been rewatching Clone Wars, and there was a episode where a kyber crystal had like all this important data stored on it. So I don't fucking know. It gets way too complicated. It's people digging through Lucas's old notes and trying to use them. That's why Starkiller has like 6 different meanings in the Star Wars universe.
Back to the movie.
Yes.
After Jabba's swashbuckling adventure, the crew's officially back together. Han Solo thanks him, and then Luke fucks off back to Yoda. Is the implication that he hadn't seen Yoda since the end of Empire?
Yeah, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
I don't like it at all either. That's why you should have probably started with Luke already there.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you could have easily started with, like, you know, like Luke training, and we've shown that he's gotten really good. And then Yoda coming out being like, hey, Luke, I'm dying. So you got to go, like, now's the time to go. You got to carry on the Jedi. And you finally have to face your father, and then he dies. And that should have been the opening. But instead, he's like, hey, I haven't been back for a year. I'm here just so you can talk to me, so I can confirm that Vader is your father. Because believe it or not, a lot of people didn't actually believe that after Empire. A lot of people thought he was lying, including James Earl Jones. And especially children. Lucas did like a whole psychological like study because he was afraid that the reveal of Darth Vader being Luke's father was actually going to be too traumatizing for children. So he met with like all these child psychologists, and they were all like, well, if the kid is young enough, they probably will think Darth Vader's lying. And if you actually watch, if you go look up videos of like kids reacting to I'm your father, a lot of the kids will go like, that's not true. Like, he's lying. Because kids, like, they just can't believe it. So he needed this scene in the movie so Yoda could be like, yeah, he's definitely your father. And then also so Ghost Ben Kenobi can come out, which now instead of just being like a figure that he can kind of see, you can have entire conversations with. And Obi-Wan's got to be like, all right, yeah, I lied. I'm basically a scumbag. Let's hope there aren't prequels that somehow make my lying even worse. And then there's got to be the reveal that Leia is Luke's sister, which is the most tacked on thing ever. But that's the big reveal in that moment. Another thing that no one was happy with, especially Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill thought it was dumb. Mark Hamill suggested that Boba Fett should have been revealed to be his mother.
Oh.
In response to the Leia reveal. So yeah, as some of you, I don't know how much I mentioned it earlier, but during the script writing process for Empire, Lee Brackett, the first person to write the script, suggested that Luke should have a sister on the other side of the galaxy, a twin sister. And that was carried over into there's a moment in Empire where Luke is leaving Yoda, and Obi-Wan says, that boy's our last hope, and Yoda says, no, there is another, which was like, a mysterious reference. And that loose end had to be tied up if this is going to be the last film, because we can't fit in sister on the other side of the galaxy. Lucas just went, Leia is Luke's sister. And that has a lot of weird implications.
Oh, yeah.
Considering the kiss in both A New Hope and Empire, and in the book Splinter of the Mind's Eye, where there is definitely a lot of romantic chemistry between Luke and Leia. But that is no longer canon, so...
Maybe for the best now.
Good job, Disney. It's so weird to think with all the changes Lucas makes to these films, he doesn't cut out that kiss in Empire.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know.
I have no answer for that.
The stuff that bothers him is weird because he always like edits like all the shit that no one cares about until you change it. Whatever. So yeah, that's you can actually, if you read one of the early drafts of the Return of the Jedi screenplay, you can actually see at the end where Lucas just writes sister ? Next to Leia. Like, so you can actually see the exact moment when Lucas came up with this idea.
I don't know. I think it ends up working, but it is total bullshit that it was made up like on the fly, you know?
I think it weakens Leia as a character. Because why was she not being trained at all in, like, Jedi arts? She was on Alderaan. Like, there's a royal family. They probably had swordsmen, shit like that. She probably could have gotten a teacher. Like, Arya got a teacher on Game of Thrones. She does use a lightsaber in Splinter of the Mind's Eye, if I remember correctly. Because Luke gets, like, knocked out, and then Leia uses it, but then I think she gets, like, almost killed by Vader. So, it's one of the things of the series that really bugs me. I think they've handled it better now that, like with Carrie Fisher being older. Rest in peace, Carrie Fisher. In the new movie, like, I think there's kind of, like, all these really subtle references to her Force sensitivity that I like. But, yeah, for a long time, it was always like this dangling thread that I did not care for.
It is a huge missed opportunity in Return of the Jedi. I think there's a couple big ones, but that one might be the one that sticks out the most. Because it's like, I know a lot of people for a while were clamoring for, like, Han Solo to use a lightsaber after Empire for that, like, that little tidbit.
Yeah. This is why fans shouldn't write movies. Like, even when I'm giving suggestions here, they're probably terrible. I mean,
when you're around friends and stuff, like, it's fun to be like, oh, what if this happened? What if this happened? But it's not the same as actually, like, being in production, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, putting
it's not
a movie
the same
together.
as, like, actually trying to make a movie.
Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult than that.
Two things I would like to point out real quick after Jabba the Hutt and Yoda.
Yes.
Well, one thing before Yoda, there's a deleted scene where there's a sandstorm on Tatooine, and that's where Luke and Han and Leia part ways. Like, Han and Leia get on the Falcon, and Luke gets in his X-Wing. And later, when Han Solo is giving Lando Calrissian the Millennium Falcon, the Millennium Falcon only appears as a matte painting. And from what I understand, I think the original Millennium Falcon set burned down between Empire and Jedi, and they only rebuilt the cockpit, and they only had some old exteriors from A New Hope. That's why they created the sandstorm scene so it could hide the fact that the Millennium Falcon set wasn't complete. Because Lucas didn't want to bother rebuilding the set since the Falcon wasn't going to be in the movie a ton. And they only rebuilt the cockpit, and they actually reused the turret sets, but all those turret scenes were cut out. It's a little sad to think that, we don't actually see the Millennium Falcon in this movie. Like, as a set, because it's such a huge part of Empire, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you spend half the movie in it, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, crazy.
But you're just in the cockpit in this version. But whatever. This also leads to a really weird moment for me where Han Solo is a general in the Rebel Alliance. First of all, if he was a general, why the fuck didn't the Rebel Alliance help rescue him? You're like, hey, Jabba, just hand Han Solo over, and we'll be good. Instead, it was like this weird, like, Splinter Cell mission had to take him out. Leia should be the general. In Empire, when they're on Hoth, Han Solo is only referred to as a captain, and Luke is referred to as a commander, which I can understand that. It doesn't make sense to me that Han Solo would be a general. Leia would be the general, but I don't know why that was changed. I think it's because they couldn't find out why Han would go on the mission to Endor. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense for him to go on that mission and be like, hey, Han, I know you maybe want to help on that mission, but you're the best pilot we have, so maybe you should stay around for the space battle.
Yeah, and it's not like he contributes a lot on the ground anyways.
No, he's a fucking failure. He fucking closes the gate. Yeah, it's a weird little thing. It doesn't matter, really, but I don't like that he's a general in it.
No, I would say that it does matter, because there's no jumping off point in between this and Empire. It's not like he got, like, ranked up while he was taken prisoner.
I don't have a ton to say after that. We meet, Mon Mothma, Crix Madine, and Admiral Akbar.
Oh, yeah. I
who
love
are
their
all.
last conversation about Admiral Akbar.
Mm.
I don't know if you remember it, but you just called him out as a Republican.
Oh yeah. He's a total like he criticizes everyone's plan and then offers nothing of his own. He's a fucking shitty. He's a shitty admiral.
It's a trap.
It's a trap, and he calls for a retreat way too early. He says our ships can't repel firepower of that magnitude. And then when Lando comes up with the idea to attack the Star Destroyers at point blank range, he's like, well, that won't work. But if you read the EU, that strategy is actually what turns the tide of the space battle, because no one had ever tried that. That's some EU nonsense right there, but I like it.
Yeah. The EU is 90% bullshit and like 10% like, hey, that's pretty good. So
the novelization of Return of the Jedi has one of my favorite EU moments that was ignored, which is that Owen Lars was Obi-Wan's brother.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's in the novelization of Return of the Jedi. I know I've read it somewhere. And that's why he doesn't really like Obi-Wan and doesn't want Luke going off with Obi-Wan. And it adds this whole really cool dynamic where Obi-Wan was like the brother that left to go on an adventure, and Lars was the one who stayed home and was like, hey, I stayed and I took care of the family farm and you went off on your bullshit adventures. And now you come back after all this with a kid and want my help? Fuck you.
Oh my god, that's fucking great. I can't believe that. Oh my god, I love that so much.
Yeah, it would have been amazing. But George Lucas fucked it up. Honestly, that's one I don't get too like angry, but I'm really bitter about that not being true. That's one it would have been just great. But because The Phantom Menace is a fucking dumpster fire of a screenplay, because Lucas doesn't understand his own thing, because it's not just his, but we'll get into that nonsense.
Yeah.
After that meeting, though, they go to Endor, which, of course, we know it's a trap, but it's ridiculous that the Empire will let a ship through if they have an old code. Like, what, they don't change their passwords? It's like, hey, it's an old code, but it fits. Like, what the fuck? That's not a little suspicious, but of course it's a trap. Whatever. But Darth Vader doesn't know it's a trap. The Endor stuff, I really have nothing to say between like those moments. There's the really fun speeder bike chase, which I like.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, I don't care for much of anything that happens on Endor before the battle, including C-3PO retelling the adventure to a bunch of fucking stoned Ewoks.
No, I like that. It feels very mythical in a way that Star Wars should feel, I think. You know, it's basically like space future mythology.
I guess, but it's just a little like, hey, I don't need this. I guess I'm just already a little annoyed with the Ewoks and the fact that the movie is really dragging by this point. The Emperor shows up. Just some things I noticed was that Vader is a little taken aback when the Emperor can sense that he's a little apprehensive about what's going on with the rebels. He's like, hey, there's a fleet gathering, and he's like, don't worry, I sense your hesitation, my old friend. And Vader's like, whoa, how can you sense that? And it's kind of a hint that, the Emperor can like see shit. And this is also where we get the hint that the Emperor has seen the future. It's like, everything is proceeding as I foresee. And that was actually a big part of the script. The Emperor foresaw that Skywalker would destroy him. So he's like, I got to destroy Skywalker. Or turn Skywalker. But the thing was, it wasn't Luke Skywalker that destroyed him. It was Anakin Skywalker. That's why he didn't see it coming.
I kind of like the idea that this third movie is just kind of like the middle portion of it is almost like a casual hangout movie. It's not what this movie needs at all, but I really like spending time with these characters. And even though it makes no sense for the original group from the original Star Wars to just like be on the same mission together, like just logistically and like as military strategists, I'm surprised they didn't all die. Because it just, how do you not have Han Solo up in space? How do you not have Chewie up there with him?
I can't really enjoy the hangout nature of this when there's like such a looming threat. Like there's a lot going on. in this build-up. Yeah, I just think that whole middle part drags, but once Luke hands himself over, it kind of kicks into high gear because we go to the Emperor pretty quickly. Although there's a moment I gotta point out where Vader and Luke are talking, and he's like, "So you've accepted the truth?" And he's like, "I've accepted that you were once Anakin Skywalker." He's like, "That name no longer means anything." And Luke kind of gives a really impassioned speech about like, "You're my father, and I believe there's still good in you," and all this shit. And Vader, for like a moment, like kind of looks at Luke's new lightsaber, and there's like you get this feeling that Vader's like actually thinking about quitting. And I'm thinking, what if that happened? What if Vader's like, "Fuck it, you're right." And then Vader is like hanging out with Han and Leia as they attack the Endor base. And he's still kind of got like the Vader stuff, so he's like, "We will crush the base," and like, "No, hey, take it down a little." Like, "Dad, reel it back."
He's just like strangling stormtroopers left and right.
Yeah, like some of them are prisoners. He's like, "Oh shit, sorry." And it's like, also, I don't want to like fill your head with too much, but Leia's also your sister. It's like, "Oh shit, I tortured her on the Death Star. I tortured her and then forced her to watch her planet die. Oh shit, I'm sorry. My bad. Look, I got a lot to make up for, but I promise I'll do it."
And like the final shot is just him, just like his helmet in his head, in his hands, just like, "Oh my god, oh my god."
The Curb Your Enthusiasm music starts playing. So yeah, so that's what I think in that brief moment, that inquisitive moment from Vader.
Now, you know what? Maybe some of the Emperor's foreshadowing, like his foresight, rubbed off on Vader, and he saw that exact outcome where everyone's just like, "Jesus, dude, calm down." And he's like, "No, I can't do that.
No, I can't do it. No, it's too awkward. Too awkward to do." But also, I want to point out that there is a little bit of a problem here where once the idea is introduced that Vader, like he can be redeemed, you don't have to be a genius to see that that's how the movie's going to end.
Yeah.
Not that it's bad. I mean, it's kind of like a Pixar thing with me. Like, if you go see a Pixar movie, you know from the beginning of that movie how the movie's going to end. You basically know what lessons are going to be learned. But that's not bad because you get an entertaining movie out of it.
Yeah. And I mean, just like if your story is structured right and you earn that ending that you see coming, then at the end of the day, the movie did its job.
Yeah.
And I think for the most part, Return of the Jedi sets itself up well enough to knock down some pretty nice payoffs.
Yeah, hey, it works fine.
Yeah. And I just want to mention too that when I was younger, and I still freak out about this, the AT-AT at whatever the fuck.
Oh yeah.
Walking in the forest is so cool.
Yeah, that brief moment.
Yeah, I like these weird ass science fiction concepts and fantasy.
I had that same reaction as a kid.
Yeah, that's great.
And also noticing the ATST on Hoth during rewatch.
Oh, in the background.
Yeah, it's really awkwardly shoved in, but whatever. Hey.
Yeah, it's cool. It's just cool.
It's great. It's all great.
Now this coming up, I do think is at least like 95% like legitimately great. Maybe my favorite Star Wars stuff like as a whole.
I got one thing though.
Go for it.
What was the Emperor's plan?
Just to trap the rebels.
Yeah, but like what's he doing with Luke?
He's trying to turn him to the dark side to kill Vader, right?
Yeah,
but then
prior
to this, this is where my issue comes in with that. He's trying to kill Luke, right? Like he mentions that, if we turn him to our side, whatever. And then Vader says the same thing in Empire. He wants to turn him on the side. I'm like, together we'll take down the Emperor. And so there's this really nice implication that the dark side is all about people just trying to get on top of one another, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's kind of cool. And then obviously the light side of the force is people working together. But yeah, it gets a little hazy in the finale.
I just don't know what he's tempting Luke with. I think it's a little much.
That's the thing. This is the Harry Potter thing again, where there's nothing to tempt him. He is just telling him that he's tempting him. Like, come to the dark side. Like, you know that fucking bullshit meme where like, oh, come to the dark side, we have cookies. That's like really funny if you're like 12. Like, that's basically it. Like, he's not actually giving him anything in return. He's just like, come on. Peer pressure.
Yeah, it's just like I mean, he shows that like anger can be a source of power.
But that's like after he gets into it. There's nothing like leading up to that.
Yeah. Well, he's trying to show that anger is more powerful, but Luke never really wanted power. I don't know. It always sat weird with me.
Luke never wanted power, but he did want to protect people. Which, if we're gonna keep bringing up the prequel thing, is what led to Anakin's downfall.
Yeah, but that's all fucked up.
No, it's all fucked up. But if we're gonna take these movies as a whole from here on out, I think that is worth noting. So if you look at these chronologically, the Emperor's like, "Oh, I did that here. I could do that over there."
You know what? Him winning over Anakin it made him overconfident.
I think that's it.
Because I bet you when he's like, Anakin, I now need you to destroy all the Jedi, and he was like, all right. He was like, holy shit, that worked. Like, so he's like, all right, it's not that hard.
And then he tells the same thing to Luke, and he's like, oh shit, hang on.
And Luke's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, oh fuck.
I need you to kill Han Solo, Princess Leia, Chewbacca. He's like, no, what?
No,
Jesus
why would I do that?
Well, because I told you to. I think the dark side would be fitting for you.
Just power, unlimited power.
And then Luke's just like, oh, I'm good too.
I'm just gonna leave.
He just starts slowly backing out of the room. Like,
yeah. All right. Yeah. Hey. The other thing. The other thing that is ridiculous about this movie is that he's constantly saying to Vader, he's like, I knew you weren't going to kill me. But Vader was very much trying to kill him. Vader was going to kill him. It was just like this idea that Vader like went easy on him is not true. He cut his fucking hand off. It's like, don't make me destroy you. If some guy said that to me, I wouldn't say later, hey, I knew you weren't trying to kill me. But whatever.
I knew you didn't have it in you, Dad. And then Vader's just flashing back. He's like, "Oh my god, I got so lucky."
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. I do love the moments, the fight between Vader and Luke at the end.
Oh my god, yeah. That it's just pure like emotion. It goes from like angry to like kind of tragic almost, and then it's like wraps all around so perfectly.
Yeah, it's all like, at first it's just, like wits going back and forth and shit, and then it's more of emotional, and then it turns physical. There's a whole moment where Luke is just hiding in the shadows, and Vader's just like toying with them and like is able to get the thought out that Leia is his sister. So that he's like, hey, even if I fail with you, I can still go after your sister. And that's what makes Luke lose it.
Mm-hmm. I was knocking it earlier for being like the least visually like capable of the series up to that point. In the throne room fight, I think this is where it really like steps up a notch. I don't know what happened prior to this, but like when Vader and Luke start fighting and the lightsabers clash right in front of the Emperor, and he's just like, like that's a really striking image, and just lets you know that like, okay, whatever the Emperor was doing, whether or not it makes sense, it doesn't matter because it's working now.
And it adds this whole new layer of like, you don't know how this battle should end. Like, this is the battle we've been building towards, and like you don't know if Luke winning will actually be Luke winning, which it just adds this really cool layer to it. What the fuck? It's better than jumping around over lava for 10 minutes. Just embarrassing. Although early versions of the script, this whole sequence would have taken place in the Emperor's palace, which would have had lava floor.
That feels a little busy.
Yeah, and I guess it was just they couldn't afford to make that set.
Yeah.
And Vader would have thrown the Emperor into lava.
I think it still could have worked, but I really like this like imagery of like Luke shrouded in like shadow as he's like
Yeah.
waiting out Vader, and then just before that he's like unleashed. It's kind of like this nice visual indicator of him like just literally surrounded by darkness and having like
Yeah.
almost no other option. That's
No,
good shit.
As horrible as the execution is, the lava was much more appropriate for the Obi-Wan and Anakin fight.
For the rest of the stuff surrounding that fight, I think the space battle is amazing.
Easily the best space battle of the entire series.
I would go as far as saying like maybe the best space battle like in movie history. Is there one that's even like that's not in Star Wars that even comes close?
I can't think of too many space battles.
Well, one, that's also a big problem, but two, yeah.
I like the Reaver scene in Serenity.
Oh yeah, that's great.
That's a pretty cool scene. But other than that, yeah, I can't think of another really good battle.
Yeah, it kind of just takes the cake.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I wish we cared about more people up there though, which I
that's
think
a problem.
would have been cool because there's no reason for Lando to be on the ground either.
Mm-hmm.
So he can redeem himself in the opening by helping save Han, but then him and Solo, they don't even need to be on the same ship. They could be like tag teaming stuff, like separate little areas.
Maybe Lando could have his own ship.
Yeah, and then they'll be like they're kind of like have like a little Legolas and Gimli thing. Like they're a little competitive with one another.
Yeah,
but
counting
also,
the
like,
kills.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, I just took down a Star Destroyer. Like, oh, you motherfucker.
There was a lot of talk of Lando dying in this film. Some suggested he died during the Death Star battle. But then I think the problem was if he died, then there would be no character to anchor that battle. And others suggested that he should have died early in the script, so it would have made all our characters feel like they were in danger. But for whatever reason, Lucas didn't go through with that. Same with some talk. There was some talk about Han Solo dying that Lucas also rejected. Some people say Lucas did that because he didn't want to get rid of a lucrative toy he could keep selling. But I don't even think that he was thinking that cynically. I just think he didn't want to kill the characters.
Yeah. And I'm kind of okay with that, actually. Actually, no, I am okay with that. I don't.
Yeah, I'm fine. You don't need death is a really cheap way to generate drama.
Yeah. If you just
especially if
people.
it's forced, which it would have been in this instance.
Yeah, given the movie that we got, there's like no moment where a death would be like fitting.
Well, Darth Vader's death.
Oh, Darth Vader. Okay, sure.
Which is a big moment.
It's a great moment for sure. But like for the protagonist of the movie,
Yeah,
there's nothing. It's a pretty breezy time until the finale. So
my problem with this entire climax is the constant cutting between Luke, the space battle, and Endor. It really fucks up the momentum of every scene in the movie. In my opinion, of this entire climax, I don't think any of it flows very well. Because you can find like YouTube videos where people have just edited the space battle from Return of the Jedi, and if you just watch that, it's great. But then, like when you watch it in the movie, you're constantly jumping between all this other shit, and all of which have completely different emotional tones. And then it gets even worse when we get to the prequels, but we'll get to that.
Oh fucking Christ, yeah.
It's just weird because there's like no tension in the Endor stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the one that really halts it because the space battle one works even again just visually, like as the Vader and Luke fight's going on, you have the space battle in the background, and so you really feel like the scope of things. Like it's more than just a battle of like individuals, it's a battle for the galaxy almost and the Force. But the Endor stuff, because that one. I just mentioned how it's all breezy. That one's like it's too breezy. It's
Mhm.
there's no real weight to anything. It's more fun and funny. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I find it pretty entertaining, but it doesn't fit as well as
Yeah.
with everything else. And
It's.
Marcia Lucas still edited this one, right? Or had it?
I
Did
think
she kind
she
of
edits.
walk
I think
away?
they did have to bring in another editor at some point.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, it's just there's not much you can really do if you have three climaxes happening at once.
Mhm.
Also, it's just weird to me that the death of the Emperor and Luke, redeeming his father, all happen like before Lando's even like in the Death Star, I think. And it's just weird to be like we're suddenly cutting back to destroying the Death Star, and it's like, well, who cares at this point? Like all the emotional shit has been dealt with. Like we don't need any more, and we're still cutting back to other things. It kind of fucks up the flow of everything.
No, it really
The funky
does.
flow.
Yeah.
Um,
Because I mean, like, I think a quality blockbuster like this that obviously has a lot of spectacle, but it's all driven by character. That stuff needs to
mhm.
end on the emotional stuff every time. Plot and like the
Yeah,
action stuff is good, but it all has to be grounded in character. And the important stuff here, at least, is that the battle with Luke is grounded in character. Everything else surrounds it, but isn't driven by it. So yeah, it's a little odd that there's this huge moment where, Luke has, I am a Jedi like my father before me. You failed, Your Highness. All that great stuff. I love that moment. That's probably my favorite Star
yeah.
Wars moment. It gets me every time. And then
Mhm.
starts getting electrocuted and shit. And then Vader redeems himself as much as he can, anyways, given the time constraint. And
Yep.
then kills the Emperor. And this is just that's insane. This was pretty much the defining villain of the Star Wars trilogy up to that point, or up to this movie, anyways. And it's a great moment. It's powerful and everything. And then they go back to Han Solo and Leia on the ground, and then it's kind of like this goofy slapstick action comedy almost, and
Yeah,
then back to the space battle. And
and those characters are left to guard a door.
yep.
And also, there's an awkward as hell love triangle kind of vibe going on when there really isn't one, because we find out like it's just a misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing I like genuinely hate is like this whole thing of like, hey, why can't you tell me what's up with Luke? And he's like, oh fuck, like they already said they love each other. Han and Leia love each other. We don't need to revisit this.
Yeah, that's not great.
And then he says, I love you, and she says, I know. They repeated the thing.
Well, I kind of like that. It's just the problem is that Leia's arc is non-existent, and
Yes.
what little she has to do, unfortunately, revolves around Han Solo. I mean, they revolve around
Yeah.
each other, and they both don't have a lot to do. But she really gets the short end of the stick in this movie, and that
Yeah, I
is
mean,
not acceptable.
she should be one of the main leaders of the rebellion at this
Yeah.
point. But nope. Also, there's that moment where the one Ewok dies, and it's really sad.
Yeah, what talk about tonal inconsistency. It's like it's kind of fun, and then it gets serious, and they try to add some stakes, and
Mm.
that moment is very sad. But every
Mm.
time I see it, I can't help but think it feels a little cheap
It is.
because they're so
Um,
cute, and then they
I mean,
just like
all of their fighting is very slapstick, but it's not hard to see that, like, fucking a lot of Ewoks probably died that day.
yeah.
Like, they won the battle because of attrition, not because of, strategy.
Yeah.
And when that happens, you usually end up losing a lot of your guys. So,
They're
that's
so
fucking the Battle of Endor.
yeah, they're so small.
Well, no, we
Like,
got to do one thing real quick,
go for it.
which is Vader's mask coming off. That's like probably like the defining moment of the series, really. Star Wars is actually this really weird emotional arc that kids can kind of learn about growing up. Um, like, let's just say you're a kid, you're watching the first movie, and the big bad guy, he's like this ultimate evil out there, and you go up against him, and you beat him, but he gets away. Then when you go to face him again, it turns out the big bad guy you've been after the whole time is your own father. And even though it's Luke's father, when you're a kid, you do think about the idea about your father being evil. And then you get to the end of this, and you take the mask off of the ultimate evil in the galaxy, and there's just a sad old man underneath all of it who's just sickly and all fucked up, and he's just dying. And he hasn't seen anything with his real eyes in so long. And that's a great way to end that arc. Because you kind of have to have Vader die after he redeems himself, because he is kind of like Space Hitler.
Yeah. All right,
So,
at the very least, Mussolini.
Yeah. So you can't really have him be like, all right, I'm totally good now. It's like, no, you got to go away.
Yeah. And a lot of properties, I think, try to do that redemption arc for their villains, and then they keep them around because the fans are really drawn to them. Don't do that.
Yeah.
That's the word of advice. Don't do that.
Don't do that, Loki. But there's also, the fear I have currently is how they're going to play out Kylo Ren's arc. Is he going to be redeemed or what?
Yeah.
And because of the hack who might be driving that, that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So.
And there are people who have said, well, Anakin Skywalker killed a bunch of kids and blew up a planet and whatnots. But I think it's the motivational factor that ends up influencing it a little bit more for me, where I can sort of swallow Vader's redemption, because it's not a full-on redemption. He's never going to be like forgiven by the galaxy, But in the moment where it counts for something personal to him, he saves his son, and by proxy, what's left of his family with Leia as well.
Yeah, it's more internal redemption for both Luke and Vader.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like that in recent expanded universe books, point out that Leia's like cool with Luke being cool with Vader's redemption, but Leia's like, fuck that.
I didn't know that, so that's
There's
cool.
A couple of really good books, and the one she's like, look, that motherfucker tortured me. So I don't feel too good about him.
Yeah.
And I came from a happier family, so that's my family.
Mm-hmm. And he took that from her.
Yes.
So it makes total sense for that.
Which I'm cool. That helps with this. Helps with the weird dynamic.
But let's finish off Jedi. Yub nub.
Yub dub. Bebop and yub dub. Do da giggity do.
Oh my god!
Why the fuck was that cut out of fucking in the special editions? They cut the Yub Dub song.
Well, because people are really insecure about the cutesier things in Star Wars, I think.
I don't get it. I've never had a problem. That's never been my problem.
Yeah, I don't mind the new one either, the John Williams score. It just...
Yeah, but it's weird that they cut the Yub Dub song and then added possibly the worst thing ever added to the films.
Oh.
Which was the dance number at Jabba's palace. Na. Undi te! And the song is called Jedi Rocks, which doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
And if you have the special edition, the last spoken word of the original trilogy in the special edition is a Gungan going Wisa free.
3 guesses who?
Was it? Did they get Ahmed Best to come back as?
I actually don't know, but there's like 100% chance that is.
Regardless,
case, right?
It's still technically a reference to Jar Jar.
And you just know Lucas put that in there just like as a dig.
Yeah.
He's like petty. I love him sometimes, but like.
No.
No.
You're not going to be getting some Jar Jar love.
No. I mean George Lucas.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't hate Jar Jar. I don't. He's unnecessary entirely.
We'll get to the Jar Jar of it all.
Well, actually, he's the key to all of this. But yeah, okay, Yub
Because he's
Nub.
a funnier character than we've ever had before.
I like Yub Nub. I like the other one minus the Jar Jar shout out, just because I don't like. If Jar Jar was a decent character, I'd be like whatever. But it's just because he's so petty. He just had to shove him in there.
There's something really petty about it, and also the fact that he added like Vader saying no, which is also very petty because he knows everyone was laughing at the end of Revenge of the Sith when Vader said no.
And I actually don't even hate that in Revenge of the Sith, but here it's just so fucking out of place, and it ruins the scene.
Yeah. It's just awful. So yeah, and then you get to see the Force Ghosts, and you better fucking pray to God you don't have the special edition because it doesn't make any fucking sense in that version.
Because when they show Anakin, it's at his most evil version of himself.
Yeah.
And that's stupid. Why would anyone do that?
Why didn't he come back as like a child when he was truly innocent?
If that's the case, right?
Yeah, no, it's so dumb. But yeah, that happens.
Yeah, but the original version is nice. It's just him looking on.
The original version's really good.
Yeah.
And also it implies that only Luke can see that. So it would make sense if it was the vision of his father and not this young version he doesn't know. Which is also odd because apparently in the future no one takes pictures of each other, but whatever.
Yeah, that's something that's always bothered me. It's like
even though they have security cameras at the Jedi Temple.
These movies don't make sense, but the good ones are pretty good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And this is and honestly, as much as I've been making fun of it, I do like Return of the Jedi a lot.
Yeah. Definitely issues. Oh, and what I was going to bring up earlier is that it ends with a giant party. You see Wedge and Tilly's, and everyone's there like clapping along. Or Lando's the one that's getting into it. Everyone else is kind of just like looking onward awkwardly.
Harrison Ford is trying his best to not look like an asshole.
And the little Ewok that rescued Leia is there with them. And the biggest problem I have with The Force Awakens is that they didn't bring back Lando Calrissian and the little Ewok, because I like the idea of every movie them adding another member to their little space family.
Yeah, I'd be cool with that Ewok kind of hanging around.
Yeah, right? He doesn't have to do anything. He just has to chill with Leia. Like they're just buddies.
I think because Ewoks are such a controversial element, like no one's even thinking about it.
It's just me.
But as you might know, there is a casino in the Last Jedi. So we might be running into a Lando Calrissian there.
Fingers crossed.
There's a lot of talk about him being a card player and a gambler. But I mean, the last time I saw Billy D. Williams, he could barely walk. So he might just be too fucking old. But he should. I would like to see him again in a way that doesn't feel forced.
Yeah,
I think would be a key element of it.
Well, that's Return of the Jedi.
Yep, you fuckers.
It's pretty good.
So that's basically the end of the good times for a little bit. But now we have a. How long is the gap between Return and Phantom Menace?
Return of the Jedi is 83, right?
Yeah, 83, and then I believe Phantom Menace was 98. No, was it 90? It was 99. So
99.
16 years. So what happened with Star Wars in that time?
Oh man, if only we did an episode talking about that very idea.
Hey, there you go, I got an idea.
Oh yeah, what is it?
Let's do that very thing you just said.
Oh, okay, cool. Let's do that next time.
Next time, we're not even talking about movie. We're talking about other shit that happened with Star Wars.
Because there's still a lot going on.
And I want to avoid rewatching The Phantom Menace for as long as possible.
Matt, where can the people find you?
I am at EmperorOTN at twitter.com. That's it.
And I am at DEWGO Waffles, President Diego on Twitter. You can just find everything there. There's a lot. So Just go there. Yeah, that's it. That's the original Star Wars trilogy. These are good movies.
Yep.
That's my hot take.
Yeah, if you haven't seen them, why the fuck are you listening to this?
That'd be odd. Well, you know what? Actually,
Yes.
a friend of mine told me that they hadn't seen the Alien movies, and they were kind enough to listen to the Alien retrospectives, and I was like, "Thank you, but why did you do that?"
Yeah, why would you do that? If you're friend of Diego, if you're listening to this, you're a fucking idiot. What's wrong with you?
And I offered to let them borrow the Alien movies because I have all of them, but
Your buddy has them. Talk to your buddy.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. If you didn't like, subscribe anyways, because you might find something you do like. Thanks again. We have been professionally unprofessional.
Major crap! The quest continues. The circle closes. The saga lives on. Return of the Jedi begins May 25th at a theater in your galaxy.